In the streets of Somalia, a celebration. In America, the agony of what next? In Russia, the shooting has stopped for now, but the political struggle goes on. And at home, society under siege. On America Close Up, youth violence even in Topeka, Kansas.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. Somewhere in Somalia tonight, an American serviceman, perhaps several, are being held hostage. In Washington, there are cries from a time gone by. Quagmire, get out now. Other voices saying, don't cut and run. Fair warning tonight, the images from Mogadishu are powerful and very disturbing. We'll begin with NBC's Ed Rabel and the president's military orders.
Huge C-5 military transports are being rushed to a base in Georgia to pick up infantrymen and their heavy armor. Reinforcements for U.S. soldiers already in Somalia who suddenly are finding themselves at the mercy of Somali gunmen controlled by General Mohammed Farah Aidid. More disturbing pictures from Mogadishu today. Somalis dragging and kicking a body of one of the 12 Americans killed there. Several still are missing. The Pentagon cannot confirm a report that Aidid is using as many as 8 captured soldiers as human shields. But he is holding one of the missing, Michael Durant, a U.S. Army helicopter pilot, a frightened and bloodied captive whose interrogation was videotaped by his captors.
I'm a Black Hawk pilot.
Appalled by the frightening image, friends of Durant's family displayed yellow ribbons in his New Hampshire hometown.
I think humanitarian efforts are fine. I think when you have people's lives in jeopardy, like the young men that have been killed there and Michael being held there, I think it's time to reevaluate.
Reevaluating is exactly what's being done today at the Pentagon. The Marine General responsible for Somalia, Joseph Hoare, came from his command headquarters in Tampa with bad news for Defense Secretary Aspen, that there's no military solution for Somalia. NBC News has learned from Pentagon officials that an exit strategy, how the U.S. can withdraw quickly from Somalia without losing credibility, is high on their agenda. But protecting the troops now is the immediate concern, making sure the needed armor gets to Somalia fast. For lack of the armor, rescue forces took 7 hours to reach U.S. troops pinned down by Somali gunmen last weekend.
Particularly now, we have an immediate problem that would make it quite undesirable for the United States to pick up and leave today or tomorrow or until the safety and security of our servicemen is assured.
President Clinton cut short his California trip on health care to return to Washington, where at this hour he is meeting with his national security advisors on the growing crisis in Somalia. Ed Rabel, NBC News, the Pentagon.
As you might expect, Congress was in full cry on Somalia today, and it was a chorus of outrage. NBC's Lisa Myers is on Capitol Hill tonight.
President Clinton's foreign policy team arrived not a moment too soon. The Capitol was in an uproar.
Why let the Somalis drag more dead GIs by ropes through the streets of Mogadishu, kicking and spitting on them?
We'll put you on record for getting the troops out.
Calls poured in from home. Casabom of Kansas has received hundreds.
98%, I suppose, saying, bring everybody home.
A Senate showdown is near. Robert Byrd, a Democrat, plans to offer an amendment tomorrow to cut off funds for Somalia by November 15th unless the president gets approval of Congress.
Why in the world should we drag these fatal cops and robber operations on any longer?
Others argue that would destroy U.S. credibility. They favor finding a face-saving way to get out down the road.
Nothing we do can ever be construed as cut and run.
Many question why Americans pinned down in Somalia had to wait 7 hours for help to arrive. Pentagon briefers told senators that Pakistanis and Malaysians assigned the rescue were neither equipped nor trained for the mission. That explanation satisfied no one.
It's very unusual for the United States to be in a position where we cannot really rescue our own forces in a situation like this.
Many also argued that sending a few hundred more troops, as the administration is doing, is silly. Republican William Cohen said it may take 10,000 troops to capture Aidid.
President Clinton has the option of sending in an overwhelming force in order to achieve the objective of suppressing General Aidid's forces or to get out.
Absolutely no one was appeased after today's briefing by administration officials.
I can say this, that there was a lot of discontent in the room.
Senate Republican leader Robert Dole said that if the Senate had voted today, the vote would have been to get out of Somalia as soon as possible. Lisa Myers, NBC News, the Capitol.
Somalia, Russia, and now tonight, China openly defying a U.S. warning not to conduct nuclear tests. The test shot was detonated earlier today, and now President Clinton has a new problem. NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
As the president returned to Washington tonight, China's nuclear test presented another foreign policy setback. The explosion was picked up by sensing devices in Europe. Intelligence sources tell NBC News China was testing a warhead for a new mobile missile capable of reaching the United States. In response, Mr. Clinton ordered preparations for the possible resumption of U.S. tests. But senior officials indicated that was more bluff than threat. Congress would have to approve new tests, and that is not likely.
I would prefer not to see us go that route, and I've so informed the president of my views on this.
An American test would shatter the voluntary worldwide moratorium.
If we test, clearly the military in Russia now has a lot of IOUs due from Yeltsin. Clearly they'd like to resume testing. If we test, they will test.
And if Russia tested, so might the French, ending all hope for a treaty stopping all tests by 1996. Despite today's action, the Chinese said they will talk about a test ban.
Unfortunately, the Chinese have indicated a willingness to engage in discussions on that front.
Only last week at the United Nations, the president had appealed to China not to test.
I renew my call on the nuclear states to abide by that moratorium as we negotiate to stop nuclear testing for all time.
China's decision was the diplomatic equivalent of thumbing its nose at the president. But he still plans to meet with China's president next month, hoping he can do something to improve China's behavior. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the White House.
When Nightly News continues, Boris Yeltsin today consolidating his power one day after routing Parliament. A major new statement from the Pope lays down the law on Catholic morality. And if every dog has its day, well, then today belongs to Lassie.
2 a.m., 36 Pine Street. Apartment 4C has a backache and can't sleep. 3C overdid her afternoon workout and is paying the price. 2C had an aching back, but fortunately she also has Tylenol PM gel caps with extra strength Tylenol pain reliever, plus a gentle ingredient to help her sleep. And a good night's sleep was all she needed to make her day a whole lot brighter. Tylenol PM, so you can rest easy.
Comfy, huh? Yes, Mom. Because you weren't last night. Man, when you were constipated. What? Aren't you glad they came out with these Phillips gel caps?
Unlike X-Lax, Phillips combines its laxative plus stool softener in an easy-to-swallow gel cap.
We didn't have gel caps when I was your age. What did you talk about?
Lysol spray use number 64. That funky smell in the garbage can. Lysol disinfectant spray. There's nothing this can can't do.
Quiet is returning to Moscow tonight as Boris Yeltsin moves decisively to consolidate his victory over the hardline opposition. So decisively, in fact, that there are now those who fear for democracy under Yeltsin. NBC's Bob Abernathy is in Moscow.
It's the morning after in Russia. As troops and armor pulled back from the blackened White House, Russia's parliament, bodies still lay on nearby streets and hundreds of wounded are in hospitals. There's no firm count yet of those killed. It, too, could be in the hundreds. At the Kremlin, Boris Yeltsin intensified his crackdown on his opponents. He suspended the Moscow City Council and fired 2 regional governors and the prosecutor general. Some analysts fear authoritarian rule.
I think the most dangerous thing right now is that the political opposition is pushed to underground, that they have no way to express themselves. Therefore, they might have to turn to violence.
New pictures today of the action Sunday night at Moscow's main television station. 1 American was killed in that battle, Terry Duncan, a 26-year-old lawyer from Louisiana. Also, scenes from inside the besieged White House Monday as Alexander Rutskoy, one of the opposition leaders, tried but failed to persuade Army units to come to his rescue. Today at the White House, thousands gathered to stare at the remains of their parliament. Among the sightseers today, a feeling that what happened here was a tragic necessity, but there was not much hope for the future.
This is a tragedy for the Russian nation.
Yeltsin will take a very tough course.
A quick and massive cleanup began on Moscow's streets, including removal of anti-Yeltsin graffiti. Meanwhile, no one could predict whether Yeltsin's apparent triumph over his opponents will produce one-man rule or whether it will free him to proceed with the elections he's promised in December. Bob Abernethy, NBC News, Moscow.
And from Rome tonight, the definitive word from Pope John Paul II on standards of morality for the world's Catholics, including the 58 million Catholics in the United States. As expected, this encyclical is a strict reading of church law. NBC's Roger O'Neill has more.
This encyclical, a kind of instructional manual written by the Pope, may well be remembered most for its sternness. John Paul tells his bishops to crack down on dissent and enforce the moral teachings of the Church. Voices of dissent, said the Pope, present a genuine crisis. For those institutions with Catholic in their name, John Paul threatened to strip the title if obedience to Church teachings is not practiced. 6 years in the making, the document reiterates most of the pontiff's do's and don'ts of being a good Catholic: opposition to birth control, abortion, homosexuality.
But this encyclical was not written for the faithful of the Church. In a departure from past documents, and there have been 10 since John Paul became Pope, this one was aimed at the bishops and other Church teachers.
Even those like Father Richard McBrien, an outspoken theologian and professor at Notre Dame University. His is one of those voices of dissent.
He can say, I hereby declare that dissent is now at an end. That's like saying, just say no. The real problem is that the official teaching of the Church on sexuality and marriage isn't accepted by the overwhelming majority of Catholic married people.
But at Regis University in Denver, Catholics welcomed the Pope's call for discipline.
We do need guidelines, and especially in this new and changing, always changing moral climate.
It's important in a society that is focused on being selfish that the Church really give witness that selfishness is not the answer.
A bishop said this was a call to holiness, but others worried U.S. Catholics who have disagreements with some Church teachings may feel left out. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Denver.
On Wall Street today, the Dow was up in very heavy trading. And when Nightly News continues, Society Under Siege. Our series continues with gang violence in Topeka, Kansas. Things have changed in Dorothy State.
These are drugs. They come in many colors: electric blue, shocking pink, glow-in-the-dark orange. Kellogg's All Bran is not a drug. It comes in just one color, the natural color of wheat bran fiber. We admit it's not as flashy, but a lot of regular folks find All Bran, as part of a high-fiber diet, very tasteful. A high-fiber diet and Kellogg's All Bran for drug-free regularity. Look for the recipe on the box for delicious All Bran muffins.
When I was a kid, Mom was always after me to eat right.
And that's what mothers do.
Now I'm looking out for her with Ensure. More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure is a delicious drink with all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between.
You know, dear, Ensure is even recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
Ensure. To your health, Mom.
Our health, dear.
You're about to see another side of Effordent, 2-layered Effordent, with Arm & Hammer baking soda to help clean and freshen. 2-layered Effordent, clean, fresh dentures come out of the blue.
Attention heartburn sufferers.
If antacids work, why do I keep getting heartburn?
You know, frequent heartburn may be a sign of a more serious medical problem. Your doctor has treatment plans that can help.
Frequent heartburn. Isn't it time you talk to your doctor?
Tonight, meet John's pal.
I've got a proposition for you, John.
One problem.
He took the money from my kid's mouse!
You took money from your kid's mouse?
This is no time for jokes.
Laura Kent. Then it's the second half on family communication.
Why does everyone always talk to me when I'm not listening?
The second half after Laura Kent, NBC.
Tonight.
On America Close Up tonight, we continue our week-long series, Society Under Siege. We take a look at the rapidly increasing problem of youth violence in America, and statistics tell only part of the story. For example, being shot is now the second leading cause of death among America's young people. Only car accidents claim more lives. The problem of gang violence, reported in 10 cities in 1981, 10 years later, much, much worse. This week, we look at 4 American cities trying to find solutions. Tonight, NBC's Dawn Fratangelo reports from Topeka, Kansas, one city that didn't used to have a gang problem, one where violence now takes a terrible toll.
They remember Mandy as she was, and the smile that she always had on her face, because she was always smiling.
They strangled her and beat her and took her car. And it was the most devastating, horrific thing that's ever happened to this family.
Last April, violence shattered the Gardner family when their 16-year-old daughter and sister Mandy was murdered.
The kids that did this to Mandy, I don't even know if they know they killed a human being.
In this prairie city of 120,000, Mandy's family's not the only one touched by violence. Just visit the local cemetery.
Well, Amanda, of course, 16, she was killed over for a car. There's a 17-year-old over here that was killed for a car. An 18-year-old over this way that was killed over a $50 argument. And it just goes on and on.
He was murdered in a house by one of his friends. It was a dare to shoot him, and he shot him 5 times.
He just didn't take one life. He took a whole family.
Since January, there have been 105 shootings and 18 murders in Topeka, most committed by people under age 20. Only 5 years ago, there were just 8 homicides.
Gangs, drugs, violence. They're nothing new to this area, but many admit Topeka ignored them, was afraid to admit they were creeping into this small Midwestern city. That denial now has it in a race to catch up.
Anti-crime units, which began a year ago, are targeting high-risk areas with operations like this one.
Now, carrying any guns, is that what you're telling me?
Possibly.
Anytime you saturate an area with a ton of cops like we're doing, it definitely has an impact on crime.
Just relax.
Gangs from Chicago and Los Angeles were looking for new recruits, both black and white. But in Topeka, within a matter of years, it hardly seemed like Kansas anymore.
People got to realize that Dorothy now is still Dorothy, but now she's carrying a gun, and Toto's no longer a little terrier. He's a Rottweiler. He's here to bite, and that's the way Kansas has turned.
The aggressive new police chief wants to change that image, but needs help.
Let's don't just say we're going to put more police officers out there, but let's get some people involved with the youth of our community. If the youth are causing us problems, what can we do with them?
One solution is the Topeka Youth Project.
You just hold the ladder.
Run by a former Chicago gang member, Darylyn Johnson, it trains 16 to 20-year-olds for employment.
I joined when I was 15, got shot when I was 17. Then I was pretty much rock bottom, and then my mom heard about Darylyn, and he's been helped me ever since.
Some of this stuff is it's a shock. And when you're shocked, the next thing you do is you need to educate yourself so you and others around you won't become victims.
That shock kept Topeka from reacting quickly. Now it's scrambling for solutions. There's talk of a curfew, more police precincts, anything to keep more young people from ending up here.
It's a beautiful tombstone.
For America Close Up, Dawn Fratangelo, NBC News, Topeka, Kansas.
And of course, it's not just Topeka. City buses in Portland, Oregon now have armed guards after 2 girls, 13 and 14, were wounded in a gang shooting. In Los Angeles, the school board voted this week to require police patrolling city schools to wear uniforms in hopes of deterring violence there. Tomorrow night here, San Francisco. Same problems, a doctor's prescription. And when we come back, working off the bills at a Connecticut hospital.
When I decided to fix my porch myself,
I couldn't quite believe it.
So, who comes to the rescue?
Well, handy he's not. And since when did you get all this energy?
Ever since you got me started on breakfast with grape nuts. It's like you said, this box is full of great mornings.
Look, it's right here. Fat-free, natural energy source. I said try it a few mornings.
And I did. And it does help keep me going. You know, Dad, I think I have inherited your handiness.
Yeah, I think you inherited my toolkit. That's what he's got.
Post Grape Nut cereal helps keep you going strong all morning long.
The reason for coming to Texas was to teach at the law school and also to raise our boys in a more rural place. We needed a pickup. The 5% we earned with our GM MasterCard helped us get one.
We use the truck to haul our cows, our kids. They love Texas life. There's lots of room for them to run around. We exclusively use the GM MasterCard now. We're earning 5% toward our next car. Another pickup would be nice.
The GM card with no annual fee. To apply, watch your mail for details.
I don't drive no limousine, don't fancy that Bonzine. Got no use for that rat race routine. I go simple, I go easy, I go Greyhound.
Now when you plan ahead, you can save 50% on fall travel with Greyhound Go Easy fares. It's our biggest discount, so call now and save.
I go easy, I go Greyhound.
Call now and save 50%.
State finals coming up. A lot of pressure to win. I don't eat right, I get irregular, so I don't project a winning attitude, and the boys see that. I tried some natural bulk fiber, but I couldn't take all that grit. Then I discovered Smooth Texture Metamucil. No grit in the mix or the taste. Easy to get the extra fiber I need every day to stay regular. You got a winning attitude, you win, if you're lucky.
Smooth Texture Metamucil, the natural choice for regularity.
Now, it's a tale of police corruption you won't believe.
We just beat people up in general.
Can you trust the cops in your hometown? Tom Brokaw, Katie Couric, now, NBC Wednesday.
Healthcare is topic one in the national debate these days, and getting a handle on cost is a big problem, even with insurance. One small Connecticut hospital has found a solution. It's a form of barter, putting patients to work at the hospital. NBC's Fred Briggs.
Ellen Gorgoglione and her family have used the emergency room at Connecticut's Windham Hospital for non-emergency health care and ran up a $3,000 hospital bill. She can't pay it because she doesn't have a job. She is working, though.
5 to 7 hour days, 5 days a week on the average.
Time spent at Windham Hospital's kitchen. At Windham, patients can work off their bills. For some, it's answering the phone.
Patient information, good afternoon.
Or distributing magazines to patients.
You feel free to take it home now.
Or just generally being of help.
Good job, Frank.
For whatever reason, you find yourself with a hospital bill and no way to pay it, this is 100% right for you.
Patients here can get service credits for volunteer work, stocking up against future hospital bills. It's the equivalent of being paid $5 an hour.
It's not limited to a patient's own bill. These credits can be applied to the bills of family members, friends, anyone the patient designates.
Okay, step down now.
Tracy Brown is 74 in good health. He's building up a lot of credits here.
Not so much for me, but I like it for my kids who need it, or, somebody that's desperate about paying their bill.
Windham Hospital does have an MRI scanner, but it does not perform costly high-tech surgery like coronary bypasses.
Lillian, how are you doing?
That means its bills aren't as high as those from major metropolitan hospitals. But in rural Connecticut, where unemployment is high, any bill can be hard to pay. The program slogan is Help Others, Help Yourself. In less than a year, 200 patients have, saving the hospital $150,000 in labor costs. The Clinton health reforms call for hard choices. This small hospital has come up with a unique choice of its own. Fred Briggs, NBC News, Willimantic, Connecticut.
We have more health news tonight. The National Cancer Institute is reporting new evidence that a high-fat diet increases a man's risk of developing life-threatening prostate cancer. It says to cut down on all fat, especially red meat. Prostate cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death among men after lung cancer. In other news tonight, Joey Buttafuoco, the mainstay of stand-up comics for a serious case involving a minor. Today he was back in court. Buttafuoco pleaded guilty to statutory rape, admitting in court that he had sex with Amy Fisher in 1991 when she was still a minor. He could get up to 6 months in prison when he's sentenced next month.
As a part of this disposition.
When Nightly News continues, Lassie on her 50th anniversary. It's a rough life.
Your brothers ate Wheaties.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for you.
I didn't like anything. I didn't like anything at all about it. The flakes, the flavor.
Well, forget the old sibling rivalry. Try them again.
That's very good.
See?
This is a very, very pleasant surprise.
Make your own comeback to the toasted whole wheat taste.
I mean, it tastes like if actually it's like I'm eating a piece of wheat bread.
Come back to Wheaties.
I would put this on my shopping list.
For your brother, huh?
For me.
Oh, my back hurts and I had a game this afternoon.
So I'm taking Advil. I know I'll feel better soon. More doctors recommend Advil by name to relieve backaches than any other brand. And you know, just one Advil is as effective relieving pain as 2 regular strength Tylenol. With Advil, there's no reason to let a sore back keep me from swinging. So now I can think about my game instead of my back. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Excuse me, do you make these delicious fat-free Snackwell Devil's Food cookies?
Why, yes, I do.
You want to tell us why we can't find them in the stores anymore?
What is this?
You got some explaining to do, Cookie Man.
Devil's Food cookies are on the way. Meanwhile, keep enjoying the other Snackwells.
Ready? Snackwell's chocolate sandwich cookies, our newest way to cut the fat.
Unbelievable. What if I can't pick enough of these? Those women will be after me again.
Relax. Go home.
Hello, Cookie Man. What's in the box?
Snackwells, enjoy them all.
It's Red Lobster's Lobster Fest.
Grab the gang and head on down to a swinging lobster party. It's the talk of the town.
Maintails, rocktails, new combinations, all at special prices. Hurry in. Red Lobster's Lobster Fest ends October 17th.
Do you wash your dishes before you wash your dishes? Why? The Maytag Jet Clean dishwasher has 43 powerful jets designed to make you somewhat unnecessary. You'll get used to it. Maytag, the dependability people.
If you needed a transfusion, would the blood be safe?
The risks are rare, but they're real.
Bad blood.
Don't miss Dateline NBC.
Tonight. Now it's Beavis and Butthead, Marky Mark and Ice-T, but in a quieter time in America, the big star was a dog, a collie, Lassie, now seen only in late-night reruns. However, as NBC's Robert Hager tells us tonight, today there was a celebration.
It could have been a visiting head of state, but no, it was Lassie stepping out of a stretch limousine today and into a fancy hotel in the nation's capital. A far cry from a doghouse for this Hollywood star. It's 50 years this month since the classic film Lassie Come Home premiered. It led to 6 more movies and 17 years on television, playing out countless adventures and acts of heroism, moving generations of Americans to tears of affection. Now, to mark that 50th anniversary, Lassie was brought to Washington to plug a new biography. There were television appearances, visits to bookstores, paw graphs, and tonight, a special event in the august surroundings of the National Archives. Lassie's biographer, Ace Collins.
But I think Lassie deserves the honor. After all, Lassie is America's dog. What better place to have him than America's capital?
Actually, there have been 8 Lassies over the years. The original, who was first called Pal back in 1940. His son, Lassie Jr., his son, Baby, his son, Meyer, his son, Hey Hey, his son, Boy, and his son, Old Man. So this is actually Lassie the 8th, the great-great-great-great-great-grandson of the original Lassie. Born Howard, but answers to Lassie now. How you doing, Lassie?
Ruff.
Dozens hovered over Lassie today, trainer Bob Weatherwax, publicists, and Lassie's traveling companion, a terrier named Mel. The dogs, incidentally, are not linked romantically because, remember, in real life, Lassie's a boy. Tomorrow, Lassie begins work on a new film in Virginia, then back to California. But when Lassie comes home nowadays, it's on an airliner, and it's first class. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
That's Nightly News for Tuesday. Tonight on Dateline NBC, the shocking pictures from Somalia trigger strong reactions at home. That's tonight at 10, 9 Central Time. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
He's on the front lines in